whistleblower is any person who makes a disclosure of wrongdoing. We consider whistleblowers to be anybody who's reported fraud, waste, and abuse, discrimination, harassment, or bullying in the workplace.
In 2016, I attempted to end my life.
You know, it's one thing when we see service members who die for their country, but when they die needlessly because we've abandoned them.
After enduring much pain from chronic cluster headaches and compound loss from delay and denial, it is by God's grace that I'm standing before you today that my life was spared.
That's a lot of emotion to unpack, understanding that sense of betrayal.
Every day was a struggle. He was so heartbroken. They stripped him of his dignity, of his integrity. He treated him like a criminal, like he'd done something wrong and all he did was go to war. And they stripped him of everything. They took his car, they took his badge. They took his life and his soul and his heart. And all I had was a shell that was empty. And all I could do was help feed it and nurture it and try and give it hope so that he wouldn't leave us.
Thousands of men and women who served in Iraq and Afghanistan and may be sick or dying because this was the air they had to breathe.
Captain Torres went to war, and when he came home, he brought a piece of the war with him. And if he had been a member of the local sheriff's department or a U.S. Marshal or worked for any other employer, he would have been able to sue to vindicate his rights.
It's a fight that you sort of can't imagine is even taking place. There's a guy who volunteered and ended up in Balad and comes home to be a Texas Ranger and is clearly sick from what he experienced in Iraq and has to convince people and then loses his job, and now they've got nothing.
I saw this spiral into this abyss where all of a sudden everything that I had worked so hard for and had gone and served my nation and come back with limitations, but yet there was no resolution to my problem. Because I went to war and now I was being punished. Then I was paying the price. Not only me, but my family was paying the price.
And I said, we're gonna fight. And I'm not gonna stop fighting for you until we get justice. And that's why I left no stone unturned, because it was for Leroy, it was for Will, it was for Fred, it was for everybody.
We will organize at every one of your district offices. Veterans were not trained to give up. They were trained to fight. We will mobilize our veteran community and we will mobilize America.
Today we are going to introduce a bill that we've been hoping to to have and be passed eventually, but a bill that'll help those sick and dying.
Because human life, which is so fragile, which only exists for a certain amount of time, should deserve to get as much time on this planet as possible and not be held hostage by fake politics. And that's what they did to these men and women.
We're not here to do the traditional stuff. We're here to make change happen.
These are men and women, mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers that we just let stand outside in the heat when they can't breathe.
Not one person stopped and said, "Thank you for your service. Are you okay? How can I help?" You just said America's worth fighting for. What the? Are you kidding me? This is embarrassing.
How do they get to decide the fate of the future of these warfighters? Like, that's bullshit.
If government is willing to send us to war, they should be responsible enough to care for us.
These men and women fought for all of your freedom. And Congress has turned their backs on them.
All I can do, I got one trick, and that's to get some cameras down here so that these people can be heard.
I want to thank all of these veterans organizations that worked their asses off to make this happen. Yeah!
We're trying to demonstrate that there is an urgent issue in terms of veterans care that needs to be addressed through congressional action.
I find it more frustrating that the people that are supposed to take care of them haven't been doing that.
We demand answers. We deserve justice.
That's why these guys are out here, my man.
Keep the pedal to the metal.
Thanks, John. Great job.
So let's get this one thing clear now. We're going to get a piece of legislation.
Of all the things we have, time is not one of them. If this is America first, America is